Hello, housemates, and welcome back to Diablo 3. As you can see, Dandelion looks a bit different. Not so much like a flower and more like a monster. I got a new pet, as you can see. I found my third Menagerist Goblin and got this dude who's Hubert. I picked him because he reminds me of Morte from Planescape Torment, and that was really cool. So this is what I switched. I have actually done a lot since the last episode. Didn't show you all of it. Some of it I did kind of by accident. But I have finished not only Chapter 4 of the Season Journey, but also the first extra set of achievements. So now I'm on into the Champion. So I've done Chapter 1 through 4 and Slayer. So with Chapter 4, as you can see, I do have this portrait frame reward. I do have the pennant reward. It doesn't quite go with what I'm wearing, so I don't have it on, but I'll show you anyway in a minute. The last thing that we did, I have completed a set dungeon. I completed the Inna's set dungeon. We'll go back in there at some point to try and master it. It's not actually very difficult at all. In terms of surviving, the thing that's difficult is that you have to activate your Mystic Allies when there are 10 enemies within 10 yards of you. And so it can be difficult to get them to group up in the right way to activate. And if you fail, you have to wait out your cooldown, and so it just doesn't work very well with the time. Now, of course, you could build for cooldown reduction to make it a little bit easier, but the other problem is, at least the way I'm built, I often kill everything when I activate my Mystic Allies because there are 10 of them. And they're really jacked up. So we'll get to that eventually. What we did to get Slayer, we had to slay the King of the Dead and the Merciless Witch at 70 on Torment 1 difficult or higher. We basically had to kill all of the Uber bosses, which I've done. I've reached Greater Rift level 30 solo, and that's Torment 8, I believe, is directly on 30, which is what I'm doing now. Kill the Skeleton King at Torment 7 or higher. Kill Belial at Torment 70 or higher. Finish a level 70 Nephilim Rift on Torment 7 within, 7 minutes. I did that just a few minutes ago, actually. I didn't think I was going to manage it, but I was in one of those open field tile sets, and there was just, 2 and 3 unique and rare groups at a time. Level 1 Legendary Dem 25, that's my Bane of the Powerful. Fully equip one of your followers' legendary items, which is always boring. And so now I'm on to the champion ones. So I have to master a set dungeon, and we're going to try probably with Inna's, because that seems like it's pretty straightforward. I've killed the Soul of Evil on Torment 6 or higher. I need to reach level 40 solo on the Greater Rifts, so I believe it's 3 rift levels between each torment difficulty. So that means 34 would be 9, 38 would be 10, and so 40 would be within Torment 10's difficulty, which of course is not easy. Kill Gom on 9 or higher, Asmodan on 9 or higher, finish a level 70 Nephilim Rift on Torment 9 or higher within 6 minutes. So that's going to be the real killer right there. I never got around to it last season, and maybe I can this season. The Monk is fast. You can build him to be fast and also do lots of damage. So let's take a look. Shut up. So we still have Inna's set, obviously. We've gotten some upgrades to it. We've got a couple of ancient pieces dropped for it. I thought there were 2 of them. One... No, just 1 ancient piece. No, 2, there it is. So that was pretty good. I'm wearing Lethbrev's Soliloquy. Wait. Lethbrev's, that's probably pronounced as a U, because it's like in Latin. Lethbrev's Soliloquy, which gives me a damage reduction with my Cyclone Strike, which is really good because I use that a lot. And also, Cyclone Strike, when I hit my enemies with it, it makes the Mystic Allies do 181% more damage to those for 5 seconds, which is super good because I have 10 Mystic Allies. I have 2 Ancient Rings. I have Bulkathos Wedding Band with Bane of the Powerful. I just got this and just replaced it because it had better stats, and the life drain is not bad at all. And then I have Convention of the Elements. It's also ancient. Mostly I have it because it's ancient. The ability of Convention of the Elements is relatively helpful because I can do a variety of elemental damage. It's not something that I build around. And here I've started a build with the legendary gems that I'm calling maybe something like, I want to call this build maybe the Planar Warrior build or something to that effect. Because I have all of these soldiers, these fighters with me of different elemental planes. And then also I'm going to do holy damage here with the Mirene Teardrop with the Star Weaver, because it also heals me every time it hits, which is pretty good. And then the Wreath of Lightning, which makes me go faster and makes me shoot lightning all over the place. So lightning damage, holy damage, planar warriors. Sounds like some sort of maybe divine warrior, planar warrior, divine champion, something like that. I'm thinking of names from like prestige classes in 3.5 D&D here. And then of course I have this, which isn't great. The Hellfire Amulet. It's not ancient. The passive it gives me is pretty cool. I've been really thinking if I could manage it, I would like to add to my little menagerie of soldiers here, get the Shadow Clones out with that amulet whose name escapes me that creates Shadow Clones when you stun people. But the monk doesn't have stun. Like, I looked through all the runes for all the abilities, and I could not find any stun. So that build is waiting on perhaps getting my lightning damage to be able to stun. I'm not quite sure if I can work it out, but I'm thinking about going for that at some point because, Elemental Plane of Shadow, that's another one. I need another pair of dudes out here with me. Let's see, anything else? Nope. I have accumulated a bunch of other set stuff, dropped some garbage gems on the ground there. So I have all of Uliana's but the chest piece, and I keep trying to either gamble for the chest piece or change this extra piece I have into it, and I have not yet had any success. I have 3 chest pieces from the Raiment of, whatever this is called, Raiment of 1,000 Storms. It's kind of irritating. I do have an ancient piece, glove set for that, which is, not so bad. I have 2 chest pieces for Sunoko's, the Monkey King's garb, and then 1 shoulder piece. So I'm starting on that collection as well. In terms of special, I have Gundo gear, which is great because Uliana's is built around Exploding Palm and 7-Sided Strike. So I have Gundo gear, which is key for most monk builds. And then, of course, I have this ancient belt, which each hit with 7-Sided Strike gains 3.5 damage reduction, which, of course, synergizes with this quite well. I know that somewhere, I don't have it yet, there's something which increases the number of 7-Sided Strike hits that you get. I can't remember what it's called, but obviously I'll be looking for that at some point. Do I have anything else good? I stopped wearing that. I have this for the Sunoko's Soul build, because it's centered around Sweeping Wind. So, oops. You can get this belt, and your Sweeping Wind sort of keeps gaining stacks even when you're not doing anything. And then, of course, there is somewhere, I think it's a shoulder piece, which allows your Sweeping Wind stacks to get up to 6 rather than 3. And so, obviously, that goes together with this. So there's a lot of builds I'm thinking towards in the future. Of course, I have 1 piece of Shillong Spirit, which is okay. In addition to this lovely random cosmetic drop, I got this from Rakanoth, and I think you can always get it from Rakanoth. I think different bosses, random bosses, will drop these random pieces, and you have to figure out who is who. So you get this from Orlash. I've gotten it from him twice, and only from him. Got this from Rakanoth. I haven't seen any others so far, but I'm sure there are a bunch of them. So once I switch to either fist weapons on this or another monk build with fist weapons, I want to see how these look. Other than that, you can see, oh, this is the item. Haunt of Vaxo, yeah. See, summon Shadow Clones to aid you when you stun an enemy. Now I just need to figure out how to stun. That's the problem I'm working with now. So, as you can see, this gem is at 25. These are each at 10. And so I've got a long ways to go before I get the extra abilities from those. So primarily this was an update video just to show you where I am in the season journey. I've gotten a bunch of achievements, random ones: kill 1,000 wood wraiths, highland walkers, complete one primary objective in his mantra. I've met a whole bunch of ghosts. Yeah, I found a bunch of other ones recently. You know, Thrifty Rifting, Rift in Time, Stonesmith, Gems in, Gems out, blah, blah, blah. All good stuff. So, let's do a little something else in this video. Let's do I'm going to do a Rift. What are my things that I have to do now? Set dungeon. We could try out that again. Maybe we'll do that. Yeah, let's try out the set dungeon. So, where is in a set dungeon? Did I drop that piece of paper? I mean, I know where it is. Oh, fuck. Wait. No. Okay, did I drop that piece of paper, like, entirely? No, here it is. With the only minor inconvenience of having to kill some desert merchants using the causeway to peddle their wares, who happened upon me as I was completing my task. So an excerpt from this little Tome of Set Dungeons, which, if you don't know, is in Leoric's Manor. So what you would do is you would transport yourself to Leoric's Manor courtyard. You go in there, and the ghost of his wife, whose name I don't remember off the top of my head, will lead you up the set of stairs into the right, and you'll go into the royal chambers, and you'll just look around. Once you fully explore it, you'll easily find the Tome of Set Dungeons in a room off by itself. And so long as you are wearing a full set when you activate the Tome of Set Dungeons, it will give you a little page which gives you a clue as to where the set dungeon is. So that one talked about desert merchants and causeway, which means that we want to go to the flooded causeway. The flooded causeway is pretty easy to find. Is this? It's probably not the best point to have taken. So you can just go from the hidden encampment. It's probably more straightforward. But what you're going to do is you're going to go... Hello. Die, snakes. Ooh. Okay. When you're doing that obnoxious mission right before you fight Belial, you have to save people. You bring them to here, the sewer passage, which is to the flooded causeway. And so this is where you meet some merchants. There's this lady, Carla. Doesn't have anything good. Let's just check what this is already. Compass rose. All right, whatever. And then what you want to do is you want to come over here right to where the ruined cistern entrance is. And here we are. We are worthy to enter the set dungeon of Inna's Mantra. So, in every set dungeon, there are primary objectives. The primary objectives are the things which are unique to that set and will have you use those set mechanics in some way. So those of you who were around with Season 5 and my Thorns of the Invoker build, what we had to do there was kill the purple mobs with our iron skin and something else active at the same time. So that was pretty difficult. This one is less difficult. You have to not get frozen, and the little purple mobs who look like the Gorgors, colossal Gorgors, will try and freeze you with that, floor effect ability. It's not that hard to avoid if you just have a movement ability, and I use my Tempest Rush to get away from it. So that's easy. what's difficult is unleash your Mystic Allies on 10 enemies within 10 yards 5 times, right? So it can be difficult to get them clumped up the right way, and if you fail, you have to wait out the cooldown. So I'm not yet going to respec for cooldown. You could get that Obsidian Ring of the Zodiac or whatever it's called, which helps you a lot with cooldown, especially if you're using something like Tempest Rush where you're constantly spending mana. Ultimately, we can try and do it that way. I'd prefer not to. So we're going to try here. And of course, there are generic requirements as well, which are to kill X amount of enemies within the time limit, which is 3 minutes, I believe, and also not to die. And as you can see here, game difficulty has no effect on dungeon difficulty. You don't die when you take fatal damage. That means you don't lose durability in your items and all that kind of good stuff. You probably don't lose your well of reflection, XP, or anything like that. So let's get started. All right, so 3 is the button that I'll want to press once I get enough dudes collected. So I want to collect a bunch of dudes. Come on. And I want to make sure that my Mystic Allies are there. Damn it. See, yeah. Part of the problem is, alright, here are the dudes that you're not supposed to let freeze you. So you just got to get away. The freeze effect isn't like particularly fast or anything. It's just annoying. Yeah, so within 10 yards of what? 10 yards of my Mystic Allies? Within 10 yards of me? Because they sort of, they do their fighting. Yeah, come on. Come on. Come on. All right. We did it once. See if we can manage that 4 more times. Seems unlikely. Of course, you don't necessarily want to kill too many enemies because then you won't be able to group them up. There just won't be enough of them. Right, so we want another big old group of enemies. We want to lure them. Yeah, is this going to work? Press the button. Damn it, how is that only 5? Ugh. So you can see we're probably not going to get this one to work. There's a couple things that I would probably need to do to make this work. First, I probably want to take off that boot effect, which gives me double allies, because that makes, they just kill things too fast. Next, I'll probably want to build for cooldowns so that if I do fail, I can try again within, you know, a relatively short amount of time. I'll probably want to take off these AoE damage gems, because that's also... Hey, get out of my way. What? Only 2? Yeah, see, I don't know exactly how this thing works. So I think if I had fewer Mystic Allies, that would also help me to figure out what they mean by this 10 yards, because there were I mean, I've always had trouble judging the distance in this game, which is why I hate the Demon Hunters, some of his passives, and that Zaystone of Vengeance. I just can't figure out exactly how that works. There's a journal entry of some kind. So, yeah, I'm just going to have to do some work on that, my judgment of distance. So we basically have no hope at this point of completing it. All right. 10 enemies. You see, 10 yards is much smaller than I think it should be in this game, and you know, some of you probably have a much better grasp of how that distance works, which is probably why some of you may prefer the Demon Hunter. And are good with it, and I am not. So we're going to have to work on that. For now, we're not going to complete any of the things for this except not dying. We're not going to kill 60 monsters in that amount of time. So we will manage to live. Oh, shit. Oh, double shit.
Feel the wrath of Ytar.
So this did not work out. You've seen it now. I've made my suggestions. Yeah. So I did exactly the same as I did last time. I did just barely manage to complete the number of monsters without taking damage, and it did not get frozen. So you've seen how that is supposed to, or what the requirements are. You've seen me fail. You've heard me talk about how I might do better, and so maybe you also have some suggestions as to how to build through this better. Like I said, my idea is to reduce the number of Mystic Allies I have, for one. Remove my passive AoE damage gems, and maybe put them just with some toughness gems, like Esoteric Alteration, Mutilation Guard, things like that. And then build for cooldown reduction. So that way, because you don't have to kill the monsters with your Mystic Allies. You just have to activate it with enough monsters around. So cooldown reduction is the big thing, and then making sure that I don't kill everything before they're all grouped up in the right way. All right, hopefully you've enjoyed this. If you have, please hit that thumbs up button. And if you want to see more from me, more set dungeon attempts, and once I get other sets complete, see how those set dungeons work, then please subscribe to my channel. If you're not going to do any of those things, then I don't care what you do.